Ames High Stadium. Let's get ready for football!
Y'all ready for this?
Kirk Daddow Show. Ames High School's athletic teams are nicknamed the Little Cyclones. But the only thing little about this year's football team is its comparative size. They have a huge heart, fierce determination, and the capability of making big plays on both sides of the football. And each of those was evident Friday night in a thrilling 31-17 victory over arch rival Ankeny. Coach, a big effort, a big win over a big team.
Well, I tell you, Bud, we just couldn't be more thrilled for the way things went for us Friday night. You know, it was an exciting game. It had a lot of great moments for fans and all, and we played well on both sides of the ball during most of the night. And I can't remember a more enjoyable time I've had on the sidelines, although I usually don't use that word to describe the time that I spent.
Significant because it was a national conference opener.
Yeah, right, Bud. You know, everybody wants to get started off on the right foot, and you know, you want to get that first victory, and we did that against a good team at Dowling, and then you want to get a good conference win under your belt, and we did that against Ankeny. So, all in all, it couldn't have worked out much better for us.
Kirk, any key plays in the ball game or key efforts or individuals or special teams you'd like to mention?
It's really hard to single people out, Bud, because we had so many guys that made enormous contributions for us, but you know, all in all, I'd have to say that Dustin Avey proved to everybody in the first half exactly why he's sitting there with a $40,000 scholarship under his belt right now, because, you know, he just made play after play for us, and then came back after a tough halftime where they actually had him kind of encased in ice because he was overheated, but he came back and played well in the second half, too.
You know, football has a reputation for being a team game anyway, Coach, but I thought Matt Stevermer's comment on Saturday's paper was particularly enticing. He commented about the great hands of his receivers, the fact that his line was giving him a lot of time to throw the ball. That's pretty good maturity out of a junior quarterback and a great sense of responsibility that he has.
Well, you know, Scott has played within himself all year, and he's just done a great job of learning the offense. It's different than we were running last year. And coming out there every night, being competitive, and just trying to play within his own abilities, and of course that's what you want every junior to do.
Do you have any special instructions for the kids when they're interviewed by the press or the media like that?
The only thing we tell them, Bud, in the preseason, we always talk about locker room material. You know, you never want to put something up on somebody's locker room by insulting them or talking about big things that we're going to do Friday night. We'll leave that to the pros. They can maybe get away with that. If you're making a couple of $1 million a year, maybe you're in a position to say things like that. But you know, we always want to you know, be within ourselves, remember who we are, and compliment each other, because it's a great example of a team game.
Okay, Coach, Ankeny's a big physical team, and we've had a couple of players missing from the East game and also the Ankeny ball game. How did we come out of this one injury-wise?
Well, you know, Bud, we're still limping around, and we're still sore. We had about 4 kids that we really need standing on the sideline Saturday morning. You know, Dustin, as I mentioned, is sore all over. Torrey Fonfang, who had a great game for us Friday night, was said his ribs hurt so bad that, you know, he couldn't even laugh anymore. And, you know, we just got several people banged up, and John Crawford's had several stitches, so it was a tough physical ball game. It's the kind of game that you're not going to come out of scot-free.
Another huge throng of Ames High fans witnessing the victory.
I tell you, it was one of the great crowds that we've had. I didn't see any seats on our side, and I know there wasn't any seats on the Ankeny side, and, you know, there's nothing... my sadistic nature here, there's nothing I like to do than send a great big visiting crowd home sad.
Well, that's great, and I'm sure they did, because we were coming back from our ball game when a lot of those fans were leaving Ames High Stadium. After this timeout, the coach and I will be back with highlights of that Ankeny victory.
Remember how...
The weatherman's 3 for 3 in the 3 weeks of the 1995 football season as far as dishing up ideal weather conditions. Nearly 5,500 fans at Ames High Stadium Friday night for the annual get-together with the Ankeny Hawks. Coach, we don't have a segment this week. We actually have highlights.
You know, it was such an exciting game, Bud, for fans and players and coaches and all. So I just thought I'd pick out some of the highlights of the film, and I thought everybody enjoy seeing some of these moments again.
Let's take us through them then.
Okay. This is the opening kickoff here, and, you know, it was really important for us, as I said, going into the game to get their running game under control. And so here we're kicking off, and their All-State candidate, Tony Ankeny, here on the return. And I always love to see those guys go wide with those things because I know we're going to run them down. I get a little more nervous when they start up the middle, but okay, here they are in their power running set here, and they hand off to Ankeny, and he gets about a +1 there. Real good play in there by our interior line, Tony Striegel, Drew Hamilton, and another excellent job in there by the front. That's Andrew Hoiberg there, and Tony Striegel. And you know, when things start good up front like that, it's really hard for a team to get going. But that was important for us to get that power running game under control. And you know, their quarterback has got a nice arm, and he threw a good pass there, but it just bounced off the hands of the receiver. So 3 downs and out is exactly what we had in mind here. So we force them into a punting situation, and you know, one of the great punters in the state of Iowa down there at Ankeny, and you know, he punted for about a 50-yard average, and that's Dustin Avey there on the return and doing a lot of things for us.
Good field position to start.
Excellent field position. We're on their 48-yard line, and you know, what a great call this is by Coach Pelzer. You know, he just thought, well, you know, we've been running that sweep, and so we'll fake off of it. And unfortunately, our cameraman, who's Emmett Stevermer, and just does a great job for us, he went with the fake. We had such a good fake from Tori Fomfang and Nathan Terry that cameraman lost him, but that was a great start for us. That was Scott Stevermer to Mark Charter for a 48-yard touchdown. And you know, that's just an excellent way to start and let the other team know that you know, you've got some weapons out there. This is our second drive here, and there Torrey gets started, and he's tackled. We miss a block, but they do have a face mask penalty, and so you know, we move the ball back. Actually, Bud, this is later in the game after they've scored 10 points. So right now, you know, we're down 10-7, and just at the start of the second period, as you can see. And so this is going to be a good drive for us right here, an important part of our game. This is Dustin Avey on a play that we've been working at since the first of the year and didn't need to have it. And Friday night, of course, we needed it. And this is our read reverse, and good execution on that. And Dustin can turn it up. That was about a 38-yard gain there, and put us down deep in scoring position, and we're in business. Here we go with we go with the sweep, and we miss a block on the outside, and Torrey's drugged down after a real short gain, couple of yards. And this is Torrey again on Torrey Fomfang again on a counter dive action, and I said before, you know, we have to run inside in order to set up the things that we need to do on the outside and in the passing game. Here's a real key play for us. You know, this is a 3rd and long, and we're in a double set, 4-receiver set, and Scott finds Dustin Avey down there, and we get a first down. Here we're going to go with our sweep again. This is Mike Raker leading there, and Torrey does a great job of getting to the outside, and I think most people thought he scored. You notice a couple of fans down there making the touchdown sign, but the guy that counts down there didn't, so he marked us about 6 inches short. You take a look here at their defensive tackle up at the top side there, and Zach Rhodes on just a great block, blocks him back into the end zone, and Scott Stevermer just turns up a little quarterback keeper there for a real easy touchdown.
Your smaller offensive line is coming off the ball hard against a big defensive group.
Absolutely. There's a great job of Dustin getting down behind somebody. We lined him up at tight end. We almost never do that, and just ran him on a fly and told Scott to throw it whether he was covered or not. And You know, Dustin plays a lot of football out there because, of course, he starts for us on the defensive unit as well. But got us in business once again. We're in the Hawk territory and get a good carry there for 5 yards. And, you know, as a coach, I love those 5-yard gains up the middle because, like I say, it sets up the other things that we have to do. Here we try, I tell you, we try a slant pass, and they batted it around there and finally dropped it, and we were fortunate on that one. You know, here we're going to go out of our trip set, 3 receivers to the right, and we get a key first down there to Mark Charter, and we're in business deep in Hawk territory again.
Nice touch pass by Stephen Marie.
You know, Scott has just thrown the ball extremely well, and, you know, he worked very hard this summer to get ready to do that. Here he's going to go deep to Dustin. You notice what a great catch that is. He has to turn completely around, running full speed, catches it there on the 4-yard line, and you can tell the way he's walking there that he's playing a lot of football.
You can even tell better the way the Ankeny D-backs are walking back that it was tough for them to cover.
He's awful tough. But here we are lined up about 1st and 5 for a touchdown, and what a great run this is right here by Torrey. He gets a good block out there and just turns it up and winds up about 3 yards deep in the end zone. You know, no question that Torrey played the best game that he's played as a little Cyclone.
Looked like he really turned it up once he made the cut for the end zone.
He really did. This is the second half kickoff, Bud. My opinion, you know, probably the key part in the ball game, and they came out fired up, and then this happens to you on the opening kickoff, and you know, nobody going to catch him. You know, that's one of the fastest runners in the state, Mark Charter right there. Got a great block, I ought to mention, from John Crawford, and just needs a little bit of a crack there, and he'll get it in the end zone for us.
Officially 94 yards.
94-yard has got to be a real thrill for a junior to be playing like that. Here's an instance, they got the ball, mounted a little drive, and on a 4th down play, they went for it. There was a fumble. Chad Spencer picked it up, returns it to about the 6 or 7 yard line where we get a first down. But, you know, those defensive linemen really love to pick that football up because they almost never touch it.
Big play, just 6 yards away from getting 6.
Just almost got it, and then Torrey once again. Look at this run here. Hit about 4 different times and drags 2 Hawks into the end zone with him. And that completed our scoring there, Bud, and that'll wrap up our highlight show. But as you can see, it was a great night for highlights.
Well, it was a resounding effort by the Little Cyclones, and we'll be back with our first guest on the Kirk Daddow Show after this message. Our first guest on this week's show is assistant coach Jim Burrow. Coach, you've had a lot of different experiences at a lot of different levels. Can you share with us a little bit, first of all, your playing experiences?
Well, I grew up in Mississippi, and I played pretty much all sports down there. Coach Walden, for much of that time, was my high school football coach. And from there, I went to Nebraska, where I played 4 years for the Cornhuskers. And after I was done there, I was drafted by the Green Bay Packers and played 1 year there, and then spent 5 years after that playing in the Canadian Football League. So I've been just about every level.
Pretty well journeyed. How about your coaching experiences then?
Well, during the off season, when I was playing in Canada, I had the good fortune of being able to go to Washington State to graduate school, and Coach Walden was the head coach there, and I worked on my master's in the off season, and also was a graduate assistant football coach. And once I quit playing, I was a full-time coach there, and then I went to Iowa State with Coach Walden, been there until last year, and then I coached with the Iowa Barnstormers, which was the first year for the arena football team in Des Moines, and now I'm helping coach at Ames High.
Hey, now you've had a lot of experience both playing and coaching at several levels. As a coach, what are the advantages and disadvantages of, say, the college level as opposed to the high school level?
Well, college, the advantages are you got it's a full-time job. You're there all day, so you have all day to prepare. and then you have another hour or so with meetings with the players. And at the high school level, you don't have that much time to prepare because everybody's teaching and doing other things. And then also, it's very little time for meetings, so that really hinders you as far as putting in extra things every week and really preparing. But it's something you have to deal with.
What do you particularly like about coaching at the high school level?
Well, I like the chance to work with those kids that are there, and they're usually there for a reason, just the joy of playing football, whereas some of the college people are there to get a scholarship and doing those type things. So it's a different level, and it's been real fun experiencing coaching those kids.
I know a lot of the fans will link you and Jamie up real quickly, father and son. Any special thrill about coaching your son, who's a third-year starter for the Little Cyclones?
Yeah, that was one of the reasons I chose to do that when Kirk asked me to come on board with the staff, and it's been a good experience. There comes times where you have to deal with being a parent as well as a coach, and at that point it becomes quite difficult to make certain decisions, like whether he's healthy enough to play or whatever. You want him to as a coach, yet you're concerned about it as a parent. So there are times where there's a conflict there.
Any other things in terms of coaching your own son and being a proud parent and also being a coach responsible for the entire team?
Well, at least with him, I can take him home with me and have quite a few meetings. That's the advantage of he plays linebacker, and that's what I've been coaching. So I can take him home, show him film, and so there's an advantage there of being able to spend a little more time with him.
I know in talking to the other coaches, they really appreciate the expertise that you've brought to this year's team. From your eyes, what are some of the things that this year's team needs to improve on now in the next few weeks? Only 1/3 of the season down, a bulk of it left.
Well, defensively, we start out the season really in a pressure defense, and we want to be able to force turnovers, and I think that's something we need to improve on. We're going to get into these games where turnovers are crucial, and we need to force our share of them. And again, when you get into the conference and you start playing teams that are evenly matched, the special teams plays a big role in the outcome of the game, and we're going to have to improve that area also.
Jim, on behalf of the fans and the student body and the entire community, I want to thank you for the time and effort that you give to the program and certainly the experience you bring to it. I'm sure it's something that's going to have a lot of impact on the team as we go down the road. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
We'll be back with Captain Chad Spencer after this message.
Give me your magic zapper and I'll improve your mind.
Hey, that's me!
Look inside. It's about the adventures you have coming home from school.
Uh-oh.
It gives tips on what to do about bullies, finding drugs, or trouble on the bus. And it shows what happens to Scruff.
What happens? What happens?
You'll see. For your free copy, write McGruff, Chicago, Illinois, 60652 and help me take a bite out of crime.
What happens? What happens?
This week's player spotlight is on one of the 4 captains of the Cyclones, senior Chad Spencer. Chad, congratulations to you and your teammates on being 3-0 thus far in the early going. Does that change your approach to practice?
No, it's just a duty. We got to go harder, and it's a hard effort to get to the top of the conference and make it to the playoffs, and that's our goal, and we just got to keep going for it.
Probably makes you a little bit more anxious for Friday night to come around knowing that you're unbeaten though, right?
That's right. It's fun. It's fun just being out there.
Chad, we know you're a key member of this defensive unit, defensive end, linebacker,
Yeah.
something like that. I have to ask you, we saw this on the tape. What was going through your mind when you saw that ball pop up, take off, and you set sail for the end zone? What was going through your mind?
Well, sophomore year I had it happen, and the same thing happened sophomore year. I got ran down about the 5-yard line, and I was just hoping that wouldn't happen, but it did.
Get any raspberries from your teammates or the coaches about running out of gas or getting run down?
Everything comes that way.
Yeah, except there's probably a lot of pats on the backs for getting the fumble and getting it down there in scoring territory. Chad, you mentioned your sophomore year. What have been your other playing experiences?
I've played football through 7th grade when everything started, and it's just been fun from there.
We got a big challenge this week. Newton, one of the top ball clubs in the state year in and year out. They've rushed for almost 1,000 yards so far in their first 3 games. How do you look at the Newton ball game?
It's going to be a tough one, definitely. Our defense is one of the best in the conference, and we're just trying to hold them to. Our goal is under 100 yards every game, but we'll see what we can do.
Will you and the other captains of the team do anything special to stay focused, being undefeated the way you are, and making sure that the team is not overconfident?
We'll just try to do what we've done the last week and Dowling week. The East week we had a little letdown in practice. We're just going to try to keep it focused, have some fun with that, and get the win Friday night.
I want to take the fans a little bit behind the scenes. Last week, Chad Curtis took us through a typical practice during the week. I'd like to have you take the audience through what happens on game day, starting with practice until the time you report to the locker room to get suited up.
Okay. Well, Friday morning we meet for breakfast about 6:30. Have breakfast from there and get to school on time, of course. At about 4:30 we meet in our multi-purpose room in the high school. It's kind of a quiet time just to get together, think about what we have to do, and after that it's business. I mean, it's time to go, and we have meetings, a briefing of some of the things that might be happening. We go down and get ready for the game and get it going.
Get the idea that the free time from the time you get up in the morning until the time you play, when you're not in class, your time is pretty well structured then.
Yep.
Okay, Chad, before we go, how about let's acknowledge your mom and dad?
Okay, my dad is Dan Spencer. He played football for Ames High, and my mom is Sharon Spencer.
Okay, Chad, it's been fun talking to you. I'm really proud, as are a lot of Ames High people, that you're 3-0. We want to make sure we go over and have a good performance at Newton and come back 4-0.
Thanks.
I'll be back with Coach Daddow after this message as we wrap up this week's show. Coach, before we talk about this opponent next week, Newton, how about a quick update on our junior varsity, sophomore, and freshman teams?
Boy, I tell you, we had 3 great wins this last week, Bud. Our junior varsity just pounded East 37-7 at our home field Monday night, and then our freshmen went down and beat a real good Ankeny team. You know, beat them bad, and our softs. Then Friday night in the curtain raiser beat a real good Ankeny sophomore team 28-18. So, you know, real proud. We got 4 victories this last week, and that's about as good as you can do.
As a varsity coach, what are you looking for out of those teams as far as your program?
Well, you know, the most important thing that I tell the guys who coach younger athletes, you know, just make sure they have fun playing football. You know, I mean, winning is secondary at those levels, and you know, it's easy to say that and all, but you know, people expect you to win. But on the other hand, you know, you want guys coming up to the varsity level who think playing football's fun, and you know, if they do that, then they can handle a practice and they can handle, you know, the kind of things that they'll need to do.
Coach, 3 games, 2 rated opponents, 3 wins, a third of the season. Doesn't quite make the season because I think one of the real season makers is coming up Friday night at Newton.
You know, I tell you, Bud, this is a game that can humble the greatest of men and, you know, the greatest teams. And And you have to just be real careful with it. There's a saying among coaches, you know, to always remember that you're just 1 week from being a bum. And you know what we have to do is get out there and work hard and stay humble and play hard on Friday nights, and you know, everything will take care of itself if we just do that.
Well, the last time Ames beat Newton was 1977, and that was over at H.A. Lynn Field in Newton. Since then, and being in the CIML, they've won 7 games from us, so that should be enough incentive for this year's team.
I tell you, Bud, nobody's had our number like those people have, and you know, most of those have not been pretty losses either, because they really pounded on us. But you know, we have had 2 real close games with them, and both of them over there. And we almost beat them in '91, and then we had a playoff game where, you know, it just came down to the last couple of minutes. And so, you know, I'm just hoping that we can go over there and get a good effort, and you know, if we can keep that power offense under control, anything can happen.
Some big keys in the Cardinal attack, an outstanding athlete in Justin George, Luke Peterson, I think it is, who was all-conference as a sophomore in the defense, and then a couple of really decent ball players in Jeff Rethmeyer and Jason Dolan.
I'll tell you, Bud, you know, it all starts with Newton, though, with that huge line that they have. Year in and year out, you know, Dick Stiles is their line coach over there. He just does a super job. And you know, they come off of the ball tough and hard and make a real commitment to offense. And they're just real hard to get under control.
Well, Coach, we want to wish you the best of luck down at H.A. Lynn Field Friday night, and hope we can be talking about a 4-0 Little Cyclone team next week.
Hope so, too, Bud.
That's the Kirk Daddow Show for this week. If you can't be at Newton this weekend, please tune in again next week. For the production crew and the Ames High football staff, I'm Bud Legg, saying so long.
You know the day destroys the night, night divides the day. Try to run, try to hide, break on through to the other side, break on through to the other side, break on through to the other side, yeah. We chased our pleasures here,